Okay folks, in this lesson we'll be taking a look at per light AOVs and light groups. Basically we can generate a separate AOV for each of the light outputs in the scene and be able to combine those passes or AOVs in post. That means we can effectively relight our scene in post-production. For example, we can turn off a specific light or change its color or brightness after the render. In this particular scene, we have three lights. If I just turn them all off, we have this left light, which has this warm contribution from the left side. We have this right cool light, which is coming from the right side. And we have this top white light, which is coming from the top. And basically, it is the main light of the scene. Now what we can do is to actually render out or write out the contribution of these lights individually to separate AOVs. Now let me show you how we can do that. If I select any of these lights and come down here in this under the main tab, we have this AOV light group. Each light has an AOV parameter which writes out that light contribution to a separate AOV with a corresponding name. So what we can do basically is to create these light groups, right? For example, I have three lights in the scene. I can create three light groups and each light will be in one of those groups, and then we can basically write out those light groups as individual AOVs. Okay, so let me show you how you can do that. For this left light, let's create a group and name it left. For this right light, let's name it right. And for this top light, let's name it top. Okay, now we have created three light groups in the scene: right, left, and top. We still haven't done anything here. And if I go to my render settings and under the AOVs tab, you can see we have this light group editor. But before that, under this light groups column, we have this left, right, and top light groups already created. And if I go to my light group editor, you can see we have three groups: left, right, and top. The left group has the left light warm, which is this one. We have the right group, which contains the right light cool. And we have the top group, which contains the top light white. And if you want to, we can simply move these lights between different light groups. For example, if I want my right light cool to be in the left group, I can simply click and drag it. And now if I select the right light cool and come down to its AOV light group, you can see it says left because we have moved it from the right group to the left group. And if I move it back to the right group again, now as you can see, the AOV light groups is right. Now let's see how we can basically see the contribution, the individual contribution of these lights in our AOVs. So let me OK this. And right now the only active AOV we have is the beauty pass. And as soon as I select it, you can see these light groups become available to be selected. So if I select the left and enable the left, right, and the top light groups, now the individual contribution of the left, right, and top light groups will be available for the beauty AOV. And if I take a look at my AOVs list here, as you can see, we have the beauty top light, which is the complete contribution of the top light, the diffuse, the specular contribution, and all of it. So if I go to my beauty top, as you can see, we have our top light, we have our right light. You can see it has both the diffuse and the specular contribution of that light, and we have the left light, right? And you can still individually add different passes. For example, if I add my diffuse direct pass, and now I can actually separate the contribution of these lights for the diffuse direct pass. So if I select the left, right, and top for this diffuse direct pass as well and run the IPR again, now as you can see, we have three new basically AOVs: diffuse direct top, diffuse direct right, and diffuse direct left for the three lights that we have in the scene. So we have the diffuse direct, these are diffuse direct pass, Here is the diffuse direct top, so only the direct diffuse contribution from the top light, only the direct diffuse contribution from the right light, and only the direct diffuse contribution from the left light. Let me delete this diffuse direct. We can do the same thing, for example, for the specular AOV. So if I just have my specular pass here and enable the left, right, and the top AOVs, let me just put the diffuse direct back here to the inactive list. Select the specular, make sure the left, right, and top light groups are enabled. Now we have our specular pass, we have our specular top, so the direct and indirect specular contribution from the top light, the direct and indirect specular contribution from the right and the left lights. Right, so as you can see, the AOV light groups and per light AOVs can be very, very useful. Now, how we can basically use these per light AOVs to relight our scenes after the render. In this case, if I just have my beauty pass, let me just put this specular pass back to here. We only have our beauty pass, and we have this left, right, and top groups. And let me just go ahead and render the scene to the picture viewer and see what we're going to get. Okay folks, so here is the render, and if I go to my layer tab and enable multi-pass, you can see me turn off this alpha. We have our beauty top light, beauty right light, and beauty left light, right? Now imagine this is After Effects and you have these 3 layers. The first layer, we can actually set this to normal. The other 2 layers are set to add. Now I can turn off the lights individually. I can turn on only the left light, for example, or only the right light, or only the top light, or I can select the top light and, for example, decrease its overall contribution. So it's basically we're mixing the contribution of the lights using the top, right, and the left beauty passes that we have from our per light AOVs. Or I can, for example, turn off this top light and only have my right and my left light, maybe decrease the opacity of the right light. So as you can see, we can literally mix the lights and contribution, and if you are in After Effects, you can obviously add a color correction and change the light color or any other things. So as you can see, using the per light AOVs and light groups, you can do a lot. And obviously, using the light group editor, you have this amazing tool to mix different lights. For example, if I go to my light group editor, I can say the contribution of the left and the right light should be in one group. So I can put my right light also in the same group as the left light. I can select this right group and remove the group. I can select this left one, and also let's rename it to left and right. And now this group contains both the left and the right light, and if I press OK and run the IPR, now we have, let's make sure we have our beauty and make sure we enable our left and right group as well here again. Now we have our beauty pass, our beauty top, and our beauty left and right, which contains the contribution of the both left and the right light. Also, if we have any light that doesn't have any specific light group, it will be in the default group. So you can actually enable that for the lights that aren't in any specific groups. Okay, so that's about per light AOVs and light groups in Arnold for Cinema 4D. See you in the next lesson.